The events depicted here are still under investigation by the Roman Catholic Church. Whatever the final decision, the producers of this film accept it fully and completely in advance.
Gracias, Señor, es contigo. Bendita tú eres entre todas las mujeres, bendito es el fruto de tu vientre, Jesús. Dios te salve.
On a summer evening in June 1961, in the village of Garanbandal, northern Spain, these 4 girls reported seeing a vision of an angel. During the following days, the angel came to them several times and said that the Virgin Mary would visit them. She had an important message and warnings for the world. These visions continued for 4 years. The girls learnt that if mankind did not change its ways and lead a holier life, then a dreadful chastisement would be unleashed. At the end of this winding road is the village of San Sebastian of Garanbandal. In 1961, this was an isolated community of 80 homes and 300 inhabitants, who for centuries had led an unchanging existence, laboring long hours in the fields and enduring harsh winters with few comforts. The parish priest, Father Valentin Marichalar, travelled on horseback from the neighbouring town of Corcio on Sundays to hear confessions and to offer Holy Mass. Since medieval times, every evening at sunset, a bell has been rung to remind people to stop work and pray for the souls in purgatory. For the last 500 years, the Rosary and Litany devotions to the Virgin have been prayed every evening in this church of San Sebastian, the patron of the village. At 8:30 in the evening of Sunday, June the 18th, 1961, 4 friends were playing on this rocky path at the southern end of the village. They were Mari Cruz Gonzalez, aged 11, and 3 12-year-old girls, Jacinta Gonzalez, Conchita Gonzalez, and Mari Loli Mazon. None of the girls were related, although 3 shared the same surname. Out of a clear evening sky, they heard a sound like thunder. Suddenly, Conchita fell on her knees, her head tilted back, startling the other 3 children. Thinking that she was ill, they were about to run to get her mother when the same thing happened to them. They saw a brilliant angel. There was a sign beneath him, but the children were not able to read the words that were written on it. Over the next 12 days, the angel appeared to them several times. Then on July the 1st, he spoke to them for the first time, saying that he was Michael the Archangel, and that on the following day, Sunday, the Blessed Virgin would appear to them as Our Lady of Carmel, and would tell them the meaning of the words that were written on the sign. The news spread quickly.
At age of time, with walking
Many priests were among the visitors who joined the villagers to witness the great event. The Blessed Virgin appeared. Michael the Archangel was on one side of her, and another angel who looked just like him was on the other side. Over the angel on the right, the children described what they thought was an eye, the eye of God. Our Lady explained to the girls the message written on the sign. It was her message for the world.
We must make many sacrifices, perform much penance, and visit the Blessed Sacrament frequently. But first, we must lead good lives. If we do not, a chastisement will befall us. The cup is already filling up, and if we do not change, a very great chastisement will come upon all humanity.
They spoke openly with the Heavenly Mother.
Ave Maria, llena eres de gracia, el Señor está contigo.
This is a recording of Conchita praying the rosary during an apparition, slowly, as she had taught the girls to do.
Y bendito es el fruto de tu vientre, Jesús. Santa María, Madre de Dios.
Over the next 4 years, she appeared more than 2,000 times, at all hours of the day and night, often appearing several times in quick succession. Sometimes she carried the infant Jesus in her arms. The girls' visions were preceded by 3 interior calls, which they described as 3 joys. On the 3rd call, they would run to meet our Blessed Mother, and crashing to their knees on the jagged rocks, would enter into a rapture. Their heads were thrown back, the pupils of their eyes dilated, and their faces serene. They were insensitive to pinpricks, burns, physical contact, or bright spotlights shone into their eyes. After one apparition, the back of Jacinta's legs were covered in pinpricks inflicted by a doctor.
They were walking and crying and looking like this. They were crying, suffering. They were very beautiful, much beautiful than when they were normal. But when they were in ecstasy, they were really beautiful, all of them.
Pepe Diaz was the local builder and was among those who helped to protect the children.
I saw a doctor trying to lift Conchita off the ground during one of the apparitions. All he could do was to lift her onto her toes. She was already standing. Others tried, but no one could lift them. But the girls in ecstasy would lift each other up to kiss the Virgin, but we couldn't.
As the apparitions continued, new phenomena began to occur.
When the girls were in ecstasy, they were different. Sometimes they would walk so fast over the ground, we just couldn't keep up with them. They were too fast. They would go one way, then suddenly another. Often we were out of breath. Sometimes they were going so fast, we thought they were going to crash into the walls of the houses. We were perspiring so much, the girls were so cool. They showed no signs of perspiring. Often we were with the girls when they would just crash onto their knees on the rocky path. You could hear their knees striking the rocks, but they were never hurt.
The girls also began to make spectacular falls in their ecstasy. Sometimes they would fall straight backwards, stiff as a board, without using their hands to cushion the fall. And they would levitate.
And this day I saw Lori in the floor, completely in the floor, and suddenly went up. And her father told me, take your stick and pass it through her. I took the stick and passed it. And she put her, when she was like this, she put her skirts down. I passed through, and there was nothing. There was air down her. She was like this, and with a face that I couldn't explain. She was beautiful.
Father de la Riva witnessed the girl's levitations and many other ecstasies. Above the village, there's a bluff with 9 pine trees. Many of the apparitions took place in this area. One day, I saw the children come off the hill, looking upwards, like this, walking backwards. They came towards us through those bushes full of thorns, running like they were flying, backwards, like they had wings on their feet. They moved so fast one couldn't see that their feet were not touching the ground, and they never fell. They passed us here, turned round, and walked off towards the church.
I saw them coming back from the pines, and nothing, and they never fall down, never. And they were going back, like this, and they walk, and they run, they were there, and nothing happened to them. Never.
There was a stream that ran through the village near the church with a small bridge over it. I saw the girls walking towards it arm in arm. 2 walked over the bridge, the other 2 walked on air. 2 of the many priests to witness the events of Garabandal were Father Luis Maria Andreu, a 38-year-old Jesuit professor of theology from Una in Spain, and his brother, Father Ramon.
The first day I went up to the mountains, my brother Luis was with me. For him was, I think, the second time, but for me was the first. At one moment, Loli and Jacinta, in the little area of the pines, they enter in ecstasies. I was looking at them, transformed the face, very beautified, and as a proof, I ask inside of me, if that is true, please, that one of the girls come out of the ecstasies. At that very moment, one of the 2 came out of the ecstasies. And the other one said, why did you go out? And asking. And then we didn't hear the answer of the vision. But then I started again asking another proof. If that is true, that this girl enter again in the ecstasies, automatically enter in the ecstasies. So I turned to my brother Luis and I said, Luis, be careful with what you are thinking, because here the transmission of the things and thoughts is immediately done. And that was my first experience of things that impressed me, of course, in this area. The first time I went up. After that, I stayed there for weeks, several weeks, and I saw a lot of many other things, but I have not much time now to explain them.
The night of August the 8th, 1961, while observing the girls in ecstasy, Father Luis cried out 4 times, "Miracle, miracle, miracle, miracle." Maximina Gonzalez is Conchita's aunt and a confidant of the visionary. She remembered Father Andreu very well.
What a beautiful Mass, he said, the last day he was in the village. After this Mass, Marie Cruz came into the church in ecstasy. A large crowd followed her. They were very noisy. He was trying to listen to her conversation. He was kneeling next to her, in front of the statue of Our Lady of the Rosary. Later that night, they climbed to the pines, and Father followed. All of a sudden, Father put his arms in the air and shouted, "Miracle, miracle!" Later I asked my niece Conchita what had happened, and she said all of the time they were seeing the vision, they were seeing Father Andreu. Normally they saw no one. They did not see any miracle. They only saw the Blessed Mother. Our Lady told the girls that Father Andreu saw the future miracle. Later he left the village with friends.
When my brother Luis was coming down from San Sebastián to Cosío, found the Don Valentin Marichalar, the pastor of Cosío, and he told Father Marichalar, what the girl said is true. All the prudence of the church is needed in these matters. And that is not just a quotation taken from the mouth of Valentin Marichalar. Valentin Marichalar wrote that in his diary. So if the diary of Don Valentin still exists, we can find these words written in that diary. And he wrote in the diary the very day that my brother said that to him.
On the drive home that night and into the next morning, he told the driver and other friends with him, "What a beautiful present the Virgin has given me. Oh, what a sweet and lovely mother we have in heaven. Today is the happiest day in my life." Without ever being ill, he made a coughing sound, he lowered his head and died. The explanation arrived at was that he had died of intense joy.
His death was a surprise for everybody. I asked some of doctors, friends of mine, and then they say, I don't know. We don't know. Well, of course, heart arrest. That's what they decided. Everybody dies of that, on that. And my brother, of course, he was a heart arrest. That's the death. But really, it was really impressive, not just for me, but for everybody, because he was speaking normally and plenty of joy, and then in a matter of 1 minute, he passed away. I believe that my brother was really happy at the moment of his death.
When they told me that he was killed, I was desperately, really. I couldn't believe it.
Mercedes Salasax, a writer of Barcelona, was distressed by the death of her 21-year-old son Michael in a car accident. She went to the village in the hope of finding some explanation and comfort.
Because I wanted to know where he was. I'm sure that he was in heaven, because he was a very good person. He was used to communion every day, and he was extraordinary, very, very, very religious. He had his scapulary. Of course, he was a very good boy. But still, I wanted to know where he was. I didn't know why. I didn't know. I want to know. And when they told me about Garanbandal, I went there just to ask what happened to my son. And I asked Loli and Jacinta, not Conchita and not Maricruz. Loli and Jacinta. I arrived there the Thursday. And Friday, Saturday, I asked them what the Virgin had answered. Have you asked the Virgin where he is, my son? They said, yes, yes. We asked her. But I can't tell you anything. And this Saturday night, we were praying the rosary, the whole village, during the village, through the village. We were praying. And it was more than 1 o'clock in the morning. It was Sunday. And one of the ladies who were with me said to Loli, who was in her side, "Do you know something about this poor lady that is so suffering so much?" And she said, "Yes." And you can tell her, I can tell her on Sunday. But we are in Sunday. Say, you're right. So you go and tell her, because she's suffering too much. And I remember that Loli came running from me, and she said to me, the Virgin said that your son is in heaven. So I took Loli, I embraced her, and I was the most happy girl in the person in the world, because, and then we finished the rosary together.
People would often place holy objects, such as rosaries, scapulars, medals, and wedding rings on a table. The girls would then offer these to Our Lady for her to kiss. Afterwards, the girls would always return the object to their rightful owners, even though they had no way of knowing to whom each object had belonged. The Virgin told the children, "Through my kiss on these objects, my son will perform miracles, wonders and prodigies." This promise has been fulfilled in numerous reported spiritual and physical cures from around the world.
Holy Week, and the Virgin wanted that I suffered, because she didn't tell me that my son was in heaven. And when the girls give the cross to kiss, when they pass it through me, they didn't give it to me to kiss it. And I said, I'm the worst person in the world. But this Sunday, when they told me that Michael was in heaven, I remember Mary Lolly, who came to me directly, the first person. They gave me the cross, and they gave it 2 or 3 or 4 times for kiss it. So I was so happy this day. I've never been so happy in my life. I don't remember being so happy in my life.
What impressed me the most was the day I was with Conchita at the Pine Grove. My daughter Carol was with me. She was paralyzed through an accident. I saw Conchita receiving communion. I didn't see the angel. What a wonderful and precious experience. I asked Conchita to ask the Blessed Mother if she could cure my little daughter. She was to have an operation, and I wanted to know if it would be good or bad. Conchita replied, the Blessed Mother said, "Your daughter has already been cured of the paralysis. She was to have had the operation the next day."
Serafin Gonzalez is the elder brother of Conchita.
Sometimes visitors to the village ask me if there is anything specific I remember of the apparitions, anything in general. I remember everything. I remember the many times the visions took place, especially at night, and in all kinds of weather, in snow, in thunder, and hailstorms. The many times the children ran through the village in ecstasy, their heads back, looking at the vision. Sometimes I was behind my sister Conchita. I used to get worried because it was dark. I thought she was going to hit her head against the stone walls of the houses. They walked backwards from the pines past me here, all the way to the church, on their knees. Everything that has happened here has left a great impression. Then came the messages that made me believe it was Our Lady who was appearing to the girls. I could see the messages they were writing could not have come from the girls themselves. Today, we can see these predictions coming true.
The Blessed Virgin told Conchita that St. Michael would deliver a message in her name because it pained her to give it, and because her first message had not been complied with, and warned that this message would be her last.
There were many people here that day. I was worried. I thought Conchita was going to get crushed.
On June the 18th, 1965, at about 11:30 at night, Conchita received the last message. It was filmed by Spanish television.
As my message of October the 18th has not been complied with, and has not been made much known to the world, I am advising you that this is the last one. Before, the cup was filling up. Now it is flowing over. Many cardinals, bishops and priests are on the road to perdition, and are taking many souls with them. Less and less importance is being given to the Eucharist. You should turn the wrath of God away from yourselves by your efforts. If you ask His forgiveness with sincere hearts, He will pardon you. I, your mother, through the intercession of Saint Michael the Archangel, ask you to amend your lives. You are now receiving the last warnings. I love you very much and do not want your condemnation. Pray to us with sincerity, and we will grant your requests. You should make more sacrifices. Think about the Passion of Jesus.
If we think about the Passion of Jesus, we will commit fewer sins, because we will remember how Jesus suffered for us.
To confirm the supernatural character of the events, St. Michael told Conchita that on a certain date, the invisible communion he'd been giving the girls would become visible on her tongue.
She fell to her knees here, prayed, and put out her tongue to receive communion. Her tongue remained bare. There was nothing there. I was only inches away from her face. Then suddenly, a host appeared on her tongue, just like you receive in communion. It was a beautiful white host. And suddenly the host started swelling up. It was moving. It was swelling. I can't remember now. It must have been 2 or 3 minutes it remained on her tongue. Then she closed her mouth and swallowed the host. The large crowd was packed around and pushing and shoving. Everyone wanted to see Conchita. Everybody wanted to take photographs. In their urgency to see, they ripped off my shirt. I was pushed onto the ground. I nearly lost my trousers. I managed to keep them up. The people were so excited. They were saying, "Miracle! Miracle!"
Of all the cameras there, only an 8mm movie camera caught the miracle on film. A friendship that has lasted more than 30 years began the night of the miracle. Dr. Jean Coe, a renowned French plastic surgeon, had heard of the ecstasies taking place and, having a professional interest in beauty, wanted to include the material in a film to be called Ecstasy and Beauty. I was only 4 to 5 feet away from Conchita when the host appeared. There was 2,000 years of Christianity on her tongue. I was taking part in the sacrament of love. But why couldn't I cry out? I was completely adrift. I had the feeling that this love was rushing away from me. I looked for somewhere to be alone. I leaned against the wall of the house. I wept, for I had lost the love of God. I was suddenly aware of a man standing near me. He told me he hadn't wanted to be there, that he had come only to please his family. He had seen the birth of the host, and he had filmed it. He was so full of joy. For me, it was the opposite. I was in hell. I hadn't been able to shoot any film. I wasn't in a state of grace, and I had lost communion with God. I was a man cast adrift. I was frightened of God, and no longer deserved His mercy. I was then approached by Conchita, who was holding a crucifix kissed by the Virgin. I kissed it, and felt an immediate return of joy. After that, I went to confession and put my life in order. For me, Garanbandal is a rainbow, the opposite of despair. The man Dr. Coe had spoken to that night was Alejandro Damians, a Barcelona businessman. He had been given a simple 8mm movie camera which he'd never used before, and it was he alone who was able to capture the miracle of the host. Like Dr. Coe, Senor Damians had been reduced to tears by the sight of the miracle, but for him they were tears of joy. The experience had given him an idea of the nature of the eternal beatitude, the possession of God. On several occasions, the Blessed Virgin impressed upon the children the importance of obedience to their parents and the ecclesiastical authorities. Our Lady greatly desired that priests witness the girls' ecstasies. However, the local bishop, as a precautionary measure, imposed restrictions preventing priests from going up to Garabandal. Jacinta and Mari Lolly, while in ecstasy, mentioned this to the Virgin. Her only response was, if the bishop doesn't want them there, then he must be obeyed. Once, Jacinta learned a hard lesson on obedience. She was staying up for a promised vision. It was very late, and her father told her to go to bed. She went, but bitterly protested. Our Lady would not appear to the children while they were in bed. Jacinta had no vision that night or for the next month, and suffered greatly watching the others continue to enjoy the heavenly favours she was being deprived of. When the Virgin finally did appear to her, Jacinta asked why she had not come, and received the answer, because of your bad attitude with your father that night. How many times have I told you that you must obey your parents, even before me? The sight of their children enduring apparent physical hardships and the mocking from skeptics made these years difficult for the parents. Julia Mazon, the mother of Mari Lolly, recalls particular incidents.
I have very much respect for the church. In the beginning, Lolly was crying very much. One night I was alone with her. She was in ecstasy. How she cried that night. This child, how she cried, my God, and how she suffered. The Blessed Mother told her to pray very much for the priests, that she should make a lot of sacrifices for them. Many of the priests were going bad. Things were going bad. And this was something I did not like to hear. For me, the priests were the most sacred in the world, and I was to hear my daughter say this. I told Lolly, I rather that you pray for us, for all of us.
Pilar, the mother of Mari Cruz, often greets visitors to the village.
When she was little, I used to take her to the pines to pray. And she was a normal girl like anybody else. She used to go to school, and she was always a good girl. She said that all the girls used to come over here, and then when Our Lady called them, 4 of them used to come out from the house and go wherever Our Lady used to call them to go to. I never have seen Our Lady. Never. And those are the ones who saw them, not me. And I don't even want to see Our Lady to believe, because I believe. Our Lady exists. If Our Lady comes, and Our Lady, when she comes to make miracles because she's here. But if she has promised to come, she will come. And if she doesn't come, that means that she's a liar. But since she's not a liar, she will come someday.
A regular visitor to Garabandal is Dr. Luis Morales, one of Spain's most renowned psychiatrists. He was the chief medical examiner in the initial investigation instigated by the Church in 1961 into the apparitions. His negative report has had long-lasting repercussions. The Blessed Mother told the visionaries that the day would come when they would contradict one with the other, and even deny that they had seen her. They wondered how they could do such a thing, since they were really seeing her, and the Virgin herself gave them the explanation. It was because they were going to pass through the same confusion as the Church. During 1962, the girls were studied by eminent doctors and psychiatrists. One child specialist, Dr. Ricardo Puncenau, a leading Spanish neuropsychiatrist, conducted the most extensive investigation. He certified that the girls were always completely normal and that the ecstasies did not fall under any known psychological phenomena. From a strictly scientific point of view, one cannot deny the possibility of a supernatural cause in all these phenomena. Dr. Garcia Ruiz and Dr. Ortiz Gonzalez said, "To keep silent would be true scientific cowardice. We do not find any convincing explanation for such phenomena." The doctors were at a complete loss to explain how it was that their physical and mental health was not completely ruined over the first few months of the apparitions.
It's very difficult to make. I have made investigation for Garabandal.
On May the 30th, 1983, Dr. Morales completely reversed his decision. If I'm here today to speak to you about the apparitions of Our Lady of San Sebastian of Garabandal, it's because she herself has worked this change of attitude in me. Moreover, I am here speaking with the full permission of the ecclesiastical hierarchy. In reality, the ecstasies of the four Garabandal visionaries were superior mystical experiences as described by St. Teresa of Avila and St. John of the Cross. Dr. Morales further declared that the apparitions of the Virgin to the children were not only a miracle, but a providential fact, a wedge thrust into the earth to bring it more spirituality.
From Garabandal and from Lourdes. Lourdes, Garabandal and Fatima, see the same thing. The same thing. The same phenomenon is because we say in Spanish language, misericordia.
Father Valentin came to Corcio as the parish priest in 1947. Garabandal was part of his parish. He witnessed between 500 and 600 of these ecstasies.
While he was there all the time, they said Mass there also.
I was the first person to question the children, and I was worried. I reported it to the bishop.
At first, he was very worried because he thought that it was something serious, and he went to the bishop to tell him.
At first, I did not really believe the children were seeing Our Lady. There were really strange things happening here. I came to believe firmly in the apparitions after direct proof was given to me.
Yes, he believes just as before, the same. He was saying that Dr. Morales had changed his opinion, but he was always the same opinion.
The bishop of the diocese, Bishop John de Valgaro, witnessed 3 of the apparitions when he was still a young priest, and served briefly on the diocesan commission set up to investigate these events. After he became bishop, he set up a new investigation in 1988.
I needed to do a personal investigation because the responsibility demands this of oneself. So I had to do something about it, because I thought it was something serious that had happened in Garabandal. It seemed to me that because it was so serious, I had to find out for myself exactly what happened in Garabandal. The results were brought to the Holy See, to the Sacred Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith. That is where you have to take things like this. So that is where the documents are. They were given to Cardinal Ratzinger. The messages are theologically correct, yes, but one of the details bothers me, like the one that many bishops and cardinals are walking the path of perdition. It seems to me to be a bit severe. The messages do not say anything that is against the doctrine of the Church. The apparitions have never been condemned. The previous bishops did not admit that the apparitions were supernatural, but to condemn them, no. That word had never been used. For sure, I consider the messages important because they are important in the area where it is similar to Lourdes and Fatima. It is important for us Christians to live what the messages of the Blessed Mother are saying. If we consider that she could have said this, but I am not saying that she did, since this would be admitting that the apparitions are true, and I cannot do that, because the Church has not yet said so. The Church is the one that has the last word.
The bishop removed all the restrictions on visits to the village that previous bishops had imposed on priests.
I don't remember exactly the date. It was done step by step. I told the pastor to start removing the restrictions, and then it was just announced publicly. It was about 6 years before I retired in September 1991.
4 great supernatural events have been prophesied at Garanbandal. The first will be a worldwide warning from God to be seen and then felt interiorly by everyone on earth. At that moment, we will see the wrong we have done and the good we have failed to do. The warning will be sent to purify us and to correct the conscience of the world. Everyone will recognize it as coming from God. It will prepare us for a great miracle. This will be the second major event. It will occur on Thursday evening at 8:30, on or between the 8th and the 16th of April. The visionary Conchita knows the date and will announce it 8 days in advance. All those either in the village or on the surrounding mountainside will see the miracle by looking up over the 9 pine trees on the hill above the village. The sick who are present will be cured. The non-believers will believe. And as a result of the miracle, Russia will be converted. The body of Father Andrea, who witnessed the miracle, will be found incorrupt the day after the miracle. The third major event will be a permanent, visible sign which will remain as a reminder of the miracle at the Pines until the end of time. The fourth major event is conditional. If mankind does not fulfill the Blessed Mother's messages, then God will send a chastisement on the world. Conchita, Marie-Laure and Jacinta were shown the chastisement. It happened over 2 nights.
Their hands were raised in the air, saying, "Please don't let it come. Don't let it come. Take the children first. Give the people time to confess." A visiting Franciscan priest, Father Felix Elizalde, said, "Let us pray 10 Hail Marys to the Virgin of Sorrows." The minute we started praying, the screaming stopped, and the girls were saying, "Let it not come." We were frightened that night. We didn't sleep. We stayed at the Pines that night. All 300 of us villagers went to confession.
I never took a stand in these things in the way of being natural or supernatural, because this is not my job. But when I can affirm, and I do that after thinking and seeing, and after the years they passed, is that the girls never lied when they were saying the things they saw. If they say that they saw an angel, that's true for me, that's an angel. What they saw, how, that is another story. And when they saw Our Lady or a lady or plenty of beauty, that is exactly what they saw. I don't take any stand in the interpretation, because my interpretation is not going to change anything, and besides that, this is not my job. But I can tell you that I passed some days really happy and impressed and disoriented, and then more oriented, and that fact of Garabandal I consider the most important in my life.
There is no doubt in my mind everything prophesied here will happen. The warning, the miracle, and the permanent sign. The Virgin Mary was here. It was supernatural.
His sister Conchita, Mari Lolly, and Jacinta married Americans and now live in the United States. Mari Cruz also married and lives in Spain. Our Lady showed special care and attention to every priest who came to the village. The only one to see the future miracle was a priest. The girls were told by Our Lady, a priest is more important than an angel. The children were told if they meet a priest and an angel, they were to greet the priest first. The children were given the ability to recognize priests who came to the village in ordinary clothing. Nearly every time the Virgin appeared to them, the children were told to pray for holy priests. They had the ability to know when a visiting priest was in serious sin, and this was so that they would make more sacrifices for them. All the children were told to make sacrifices for the sanctification of priests. Mari Lolly was told by our Blessed Mother that she would suffer much in her life, and to offer the suffering to God as a sacrifice for priests.
It's more important in my life to pray for holy priests. I don't know.
With regard to apparitions, you feel that's the most important thing in your life, to pray for priests?
Yes.
Right.
Everything seems to focus on the Eucharist and the priesthood. The miracle to come on a Thursday, the day that is consecrated to the Holy Eucharist. The day our Lord instituted the priesthood. The Blessed Mother told Mari Lolly, before the miracle, it will be very hard for the Mass to be offered. She asked what would cause this, and the Virgin replied, communism. One day the church bell tolled. Conchita said to her mother, Pope John is dead. Our Lady told me now there will be only 3 more popes, and then it'll be the end of time, but not the end of the world. On September the 12th, 1962, Mari Cruz had her last ecstasy, and in January of 1963, the visions also ended for Mari Lolly and Jacinta. Only Conchita continued to have visions, but they were fewer and further apart. The last apparition was on the 13th of November 1965. It was a special apparition during which our Blessed Mother kissed religious objects. Our Lady told Conchita, I have come not only for your sake, I have come for the sake of all my children, with the desire of bringing them closer to our hearts. And afterwards she added, Conchita, why don't you go often to visit my son in the Most Blessed Sacrament? Do not let yourself get carried away by laziness and not go and visit him who is waiting for you day and night.